What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back to another edition, another episode of Meat on the 50. You know what it is. It's our second episode of the week, and that means it is our weekly picks episode, and we are going to break down all the action ahead of us for week 8, right? We're almost halfway through the season. This is basically the halfway mark for the season, right? We're gonna see an exciting second half, but we have kind of an exciting slate of games. So let's just break it down, right? So let's just start the show. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Meat on the 50. It is our weekly picks episode where we are going to break down and predict all of the action ahead of us for this coming week in the NFL. And I mean, if you've been following along with us, if you haven't, then you're going to find out right now. But as always, joining me to break it all down, one of my best friends, Brandon Sullivan. Brandon, how you doing? How you feeling heading into week 8?
Just ready for the new week after last week, what I saw last week. So just got to, like I said, wash that away and move on to the new week. And hopefully my team can bounce back. So ready for it.
I like it. Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm excited for another week right after the Bengals made a statement victory last week. Very winnable games coming up for them this part of the schedule. So these are big must-win victories, I believe, for them. The Niners need to get a rebound victory this week. So we will see what happens. But first, you know what I'm going to tell you. You can just follow along the action now, right? I'm gonna pound it into your skulls until you do it. All right. You can follow along the action now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, all season long. Right. We are dropping as with every video, there will be a podcast episode that you can listen to, that you can take along with you. That way, if you aren't able to check out the videos at all, or just not the whole way through, guess what? You can open up Spotify, open up Apple Podcasts, and pick up right where you left off. Never miss a beat. And remember, it's going to be dropping all season long. And do us a favor, if at any point during this video or during the podcast, you like what you are listening to, you like what you are seeing, do us a favor and smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new episodes drop, you're right there to consume the content, because we are going to be dropping episodes all season long. So just come on and join us for the ride. I mean, why not? I'm sure you got nothing better else to do with your time. Maybe you do, but just come and join us, all right? Let's quickly remind them how we did last week. For yourself, 9-5, great bounce back week. 1-0 on the guaranteed victories. For myself, 8-6, a decent week. 1-0 on the guaranteed victories. Overall for the season, that puts us at, for yourself, 58-49-1. Sitting pretty with that positive record. 4-3 on the guaranteed victories. Back to positivity. That's what we love to see. For myself, 62-45-1, 5-1-1 for my guaranteed victories. Sitting pretty this week. Looking decent right now, right? Obviously looking to build off those records. So let's not waste any time. Let's just wipe those off the screen, right? And let's get into the action, right? So starting us off on Thursday, we got kind of a good one, I think. We got the Baltimore Ravens traveling on the road again to get another, to get another big victory on the road, I should say, against the struggling Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay bounces back in this one. I'm going to say, Tom Brady has a pretty decent game. I think it's a low-scoring game, though. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers in this one, 23-17. I think the Buccaneers need a big bounce-back win, and I think they do get it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I do not think Tom Brady goes to 3-5. I would be very, very shocked, honestly, if that happened. So I do think they handle business at home. I think Tampa Brady has a better, just a better game. I think Mike Evans catches wide open passes. I think Leonard Fournette looks better. I think that defense looks better. But The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I do believe, get the victory, the big victory at home to go to 500 to maybe possibly salvage their season. We'll see what happens if they do go to 3-5, but I'm going Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, and I'm going 28-24. I think it's going to be a very close game. The Ravens defense, nothing to really toy with, right? They are known to choke, but they are pretty solid. So Ravens, Bucks, I think a solid start to the week, but I am going Buccaneers to handle business at home. Big bounce back win for them. Moving on to our early morning game. We got another early morning game across the pond again. Again, we got another early morning game. Again, we got it across the pond. And why? I mean, the only thing I can say is just thank you for getting them off my screen early in the morning, right? But we got the Denver Donkeys somehow again getting another primetime game, traveling to London to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you got for me?
Yeah, cool game. Another cool game in London. That's cool to showcase two NFL teams. I think people in England, they enjoy watching American football, so it's cool that we have multiple games there. But two not very good teams. Not going to say much about this one. I'm just going to say Jacksonville wins at 17-9 because Denver can't score more than 9 points. So going with Jacksonville.
That was my score prediction as well. Not 17-9, but I have the Denver Donkeys at 9 points, and I think I'm just going to keep them at 9 points all season long because they seem aside from Jimmy G not knowing where the end zone was, they cannot score more than 9 points. So, but I got Jacksonville, and I'll say this: Trevor Lawrence has flashes of being a superstar, just the flashes of being a superstar. But then you have the weight of the Jacksonville Jaguars just dragging them down. So I think it's more Jacksonville than I do think Trevor. But Treviel, make a statement, baby. Make a statement in London. Turn London into more Jacksonville Jaguars fans because we know that's where Shad Khan wants to take your ass. So let's go Jacksonville Jaguars, handling the business 27-9. We all know the Denver Donkeys can't score more than that. Denver Donkeys dropping another game on the road. Nathaniel can't hack it. Get the hell out of here. Moving on to our traditional Sunday morning games. Leading us off, we got the Carolina Panthers traveling to the Atlanta Falcons. What do you got for me?
Yeah, this should be a pretty decent matchup because both teams are, Carolina came off a big victory last week, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-3. And then Atlanta, they need to bounce back win after just not a good performance against Cincinnati. I'm going to say just because Atlanta's at home, they're going to go ahead and win this one 24-17.
Yeah, we're on the same mind path this week. Yeah, I'm going Falcons. I do think the Falcons get the bounce back win this week. I think the Carolina Panthers, they did. They came out, they played for Steve Wilkes, they played for, Chuba Hubbard, they played for PJ Walker, they played for the guys who they were getting they heard they were getting shit on. They heard that all the talk throughout the week. So they came out and they wanted to make a statement. Statement made. Do I think they can do it 2 weeks in a row? I don't think so. I think the Falcons are a far better team, regardless of their record, regardless of what happened against the Bengals. I do think the Falcons are a very good team who have very good weapons, who can score at any time and put up a lot of points if you let them. So I'm going to go Atlanta Falcons here, and I'm going to go 28-19. I think that the Atlanta Falcons handle business at home, basically making that NFC South pretty interesting, making the NFC South an interesting division. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears coming off that big win on Monday night to travel down to Arlington to try and take on this tough Cowboy defense, to travel to Arlington to take on the Dallas Cowboys. What do you got for me?
Yeah, good win for Chicago last week. I think that, they definitely needed that. But Dallas is playing at home per usual. and Dak is back, and that defense is just as good, if not better, than Chicago's defense. So I definitely think that is the X factor in this game. I think that they do enough to contain Chicago's offense. I think they hold Chicago to a relatively low scoring game. I'm going to pick Dallas in this one, 24-13.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, right? The X factor is going to be the defense in this game, right? Is the Cowboys defense going to man up, or is that Bears defense going to pull off the upset coming off the momentum victory that they just got against the Patriots? I mean, that defense showed up and showed out. So we'll see what happens for them. I'm going Cowboys, man. That defense is crazy, man. That defense is wild. I know the Eagles managed to slow it down and stop it, but I do not see the Chicago Bears' crappy offensive line figuring out a way to slow it down and stop it. I think Justin Fields has a rough day against this Cowboys defense. So I'm going Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going 35-14. I know they just scored 32 points or whatever it was, but they're not going to do that against a far superior defense in the Dallas Cowboys. So Dallas Cowboys handling business, like you said, always at home. Moving on to our next game. We got the Miami Dolphins traveling to the Motor City of Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. What do you got for me?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Detroit. I just don't see them pulling out a win here. I think that, I just don't think that there's enough offensive firepower. I don't believe in Jared Goff, unfortunately. I really liked him coming out of Cal, like I've said, but, just his NFL career, he's definitely just a backup. That's how I see him. So I think that Miami wins this one 20-14. I think it's relatively low scoring game. I think Tua's still getting back into the groove, but unfortunately for Detroit, I think that at some point Dan Campbell's going to be on the hot seat because they are the worst team in the NFL at 1-5, and that, my opinion. I'm sure other people can make arguments about Houston, but it's a toss up. Obviously, they're the worst team in the NFC, so they, if they can make a statement here, that would be good. Or else I think that your season is over, completely if you don't win this game. So I'm going to pick Miami 20-14, and I think that they're able to continue their winning streak.
Yeah, it's not so much the Detroit Lions, even though that defense is struggling. I know Jared Goff has shown flashes this year, but when it boils down to it, Jared Goff is just a crappy quarterback. He's just not a good quarterback, not an efficient game manager, just does the little things that lose you games. Kind of like we were talking about a quarterback earlier, Jimmy G, right? In our last episode, in our review episode, he just does the little things to lose you games. And that's basically what you can't have in the NFL. You need a quarterback who doesn't do the little things. Now, it's obviously easier said than done, but you need a quarterback who doesn't do the little things that lose you games. It's the most crucial thing to have, right? So, Miami Dolphins handling business on the road in a guaranteed victory. I was picking on the Steelers. Now I'm picking on the Lions. We're going Miami Dolphins, guaranteed victory, and it's an absolute boat race I see coming to the Detroit Lions. 35-14. Absolute domination with the Miami Dolphins. Another week of Tua back, and I think that offense and that offense just lights it up. So Miami Dolphins handling business on the road. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals coming off that monster win on Thursday, right? They're scoring 42 points, putting up a lot of points. We'll see if they can do it against this team traveling to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. What do you got for me?
Yeah, Arizona scored a bunch of points last week. Unfortunately, I don't think they will against this defense. But having to go on the road to Minnesota. So I think Minnesota, pretty well rested after a bye week. I'm going to pick them 31-24 over Arizona.
Yeah, we're just aligned this week. We are just aligned. I'm going Vikings. I agree. I think if this were maybe in Arizona, maybe we go Arizona again. But I think Vikings at home, I think that plays into their favor a lot of the times. I think, like you said, coming off that bye week, well rested. Arizona, though, with that big momentum win, so that could always carry them into this week. Getting DeAndre Hopkins back, that's always crucial. So I think this is going to be kind of the undercover, one of the better games of the day. But I'm going Minnesota Vikings to handle business at home. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's actually going to be a 24-23 game. I think we get a game-winning field goal by the Vikings at the end of the game to seal it. I mean, the Vikings are one of the luckiest teams in the NFL, so why not? 24-23, Minnesota Vikings advance to 7-1. 7-1? Minnesota Vikings, that's crazy. Next up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Bourbon Street, to Bayou, to the Superdome, the former Superdome, the Smoothie King Arena. I don't know what it's called now. Taking on a team that needs to bounce back win, the New Orleans Saints. Las Vegas Raiders, New Orleans Saints. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think this one will be a pretty close one. I think that New Orleans is always capable of putting up, points at home. However, I'm going to go with Las Vegas in this one, 35-28. I think that they are able to, beat the Saints in the Superdome and obviously get another win and keep that win streak going. So I think, Jacobs gets going, and I think the defense does just enough. So I'm going to pick the Raiders.
Yeah, I think, to echo one of my other friends, Isaac, I think Josh Jacobs is the keys to the Raiders season this year. I think basically if you can establish that run game, if you can get that run game going, obviously that's going to open up play action. Obviously that's going to open up Devontae Adams. Obviously that's going to open up all these other weapons that the Raiders have, right? Mac Hollins coming out of nowhere. He's been on the team forever, finally getting his time to shine and absolutely shining. So the Raiders putting together a big victory last week. I think they put together a big victory this week. That New Orleans defense, very question mark. They are at home, so chances are they probably do play better, but I'm going to go with the Raiders here. I think the Raiders do what they need to do on the road. I think Josh Jacobs, like you said, continues to roll. I think Devontae Adams continues to play good. I think Derek Carr does what Derek Carr does and tries to not lose the game. But again, I think the Raiders, the defense was playing a lot better. The offense is looking slightly better. They're getting the ball rolling. It's not exactly where you want it to be, but it's definitely looking better than what it did in the beginning of the season. So I'm going Las Vegas Raiders handling business. I'm going 23-17. I'm going a very low scoring game this time. I know the Saints have the weapons. I know the Raiders have the weapons, but I think the defenses here will kind of turn it on in this game. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Our next game, we got the New England Patriots traveling to the Big Apple to go across the bridge to New Jersey, to MetLife, to take on the New York/New Jersey Jets. What do you got for me?
Yep, I think the New York Jets are able to win this one. The New England Patriots quarterback situation is up in the air.
True.
So I'm going to roll with the Jets 28-17.
Yeah, not much on this one, right? The Jets, I think the defense comes out again and handles business. I think, like you said, you basically hit the nail on the head with the Patriots quarterback situation being up in the air, right? Who's going to start, Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi? We'll find out, I'm sure, later on this week. New England Patriots, just, not really a good team anymore. New York Jets look like to be on the rise, look to be turning the other leaf, be just turning the corner, possibly. This would really seal the turn the corner kind of narrative right here if they can handle business against a division rival, against a team who they have long struggled against. So I'm going with the Jets. Of course, I'm rocking with the New York teams this year. I'm going New York Jets They don't score a lot of points, so we're not going to go a high-scoring game. I'm going 17-10. I think it's a very low-scoring game. I think the New York Jets, though, handle business on the road, at home. Robert Saleh, another key victory. Sauce Gardner, another awesome game as a defensive back. Zach Wilson, another great game as game manager, and we'll see what happens with James Robinson, who is now on the team. New York Jets, hopefully moving to 7 and 2, 6 and 2, 6 and 2, 6 and 2. New York Jets. What the hell? What is this? Mark Sanchez there? We'll see what happens. New York Jets handling business at home, I believe. Next up, our final morning game. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to their city that is 5 hours away. Good distance. In-state love, in-state rivalry. They're taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you got for me? Pittsburgh Steelers, Philadelphia Eagles, Battle of Pennsylvania. What do you got for me?
Got a guaranteed victory for you. I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this one, and they continue their undefeated streak, 38-21.
Just harping on the Steelers. No love for Kenny Pickett and the Steelers.
Nope.
I'm with you. You know, I used my guaranteed victory already. I do not see the Steelers pulling this one out. Obviously, we didn't see it against the Bucs, but the Eagles are not the Buccaneers. So they are a far better team. They are a far more put together team at this point in the season, at this point in time. I'm not going to say overall or for the rest of the year because we don't know. But at this point in time, Eagles are a far superior team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I do not think they drop this game. I do think they handle business. And I do think that the NFC East still is one of the best divisions in the NFL to this point. All three teams in there making statements, even the Washington Dumpster Fire Commanders making a statement against the Packers with Taylor Heineke. So we will see what happens there. But I've got the Philadelphia Eagles handling business at home, and I'm going to go 32-21. I do think that the Steelers are able to score, but I do think that the Eagles ultimately, that running game, which opens up that passing game, and I do think Jalen Hurts gets another big victory under his belt. Jalen Hurts, man, looking like the real deal in the NFL. Love to see it. Moving on to our afternoon games. First up, we got the Tennessee Titans traveling to the possible Houston DF Texans. We're not going to call them it yet, but Tennessee Titans traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. What do you got for me?
Yeah, not much to say about this one. I think Tennessee goes in there, handles business 24-10.
Yeah, Texans, tough fighting team. They put up a fight. Davis Mills, right? Damian Pierce, right? Lovie Smith. They are a tough fighting team, but they are just not a good team. And it's obviously the quarterback. I'm not saying Davis Mills is a terrible quarterback, but he is definitely not a guy who's going to get you to the top or over the top for that matter. So Texans definitely in rebuild mode. Have a lot to do in terms of rebuilding. I do think that Lovie Smith will pay the price for that ultimately, which kind of sucks because I do like Lovie Smith. But, the Houston Texans need to get something done. Now we turn to the Tennessee Titans, who do this every year, right? They look crappy and then they turn around and now they rattle off, 3 or 4 victories and now they look like one of the top teams, right? Derrick Henry back, Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, doing his Ryan Tannehill game manager stuff. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, though. But so far, the Tennessee Titans, the team to beat right now in that AFC South. So obviously, I'm going to rock with the Tennessee Titans here. And I think it's a big one for the Titans here. I think it's 32-20. I think that Derrick Henry goes off. I think a lot of these weapons start to go off. But I think the Tennessee Titans handle business against one of their division foes. Moving on, we have this year's Washington Dumpster Fire Commanders traveling to Indianapolis to the freshly sat Matt Ryan-less Indianapolis Colts. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think Washington goes in there and handles business. I think the Colts are just not a really good team. I think that, I don't know about the whole situation with benching Matt Ryan. I think that's a little stupid, but whatever. Halfway through the season, obviously, I think that Colts coach has got to go, but just terrible decisions in Indianapolis. They have not made any really good decisions ever since the departure of Andrew Luck. Unfortunate that he retired so early, but he had to do what he had to do for his health. But I think Washington handles business here. I think it's an ugly game, but I am going to take Washington 23-14.
Man, we are just on a roll this week, and I can't even believe it, man. I can't believe I'm about to do this. But yeah, I'm taking the Washington Dumpster Fire Commanders against the Indianapolis Colts. I got the Commanders. I got Taylor Heineke handling business against they're not even Colts, man. They're miniature horses at this point. They're the Indianapolis mini horses at this point. I mean, they're not even stallions, not even steeds. They're not even nothing. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor, one touchdown this year. One touchdown this year after leading the league last year, looking like one of the top running backs. One. Washington Dumpster Fire Commanders go into Indianapolis. Get a big victory. Keep pace. Taylor Heineke. Better than Carson Wentz. Sure looks like it to me. Washington Dumpster Fire Commanders handle business. They score points with Taylor Heineke there. So we're going 35. We're going 35-17. Handling business on the road. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers, who need a bounce-back win. And what better opponent to get after a tough loss than a team that you're not 1-0 against, but you're 2-0 against, because if you didn't hear, the Rams only offered a third and a fifth or whatever it was. They couldn't do it because guess what? They traded the pick away when they traded away Sony Michel. Dummies. So the Niners getting over on the Rams yet again, and it's just how it's always going to be. You know, okay, fine. We'll give them last year. Cool. Enjoy, because it's not going to happen, if ever, rarely. So, San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Los Angeles Rams. What do you got for me?
I'm hoping a big bounce-back win. I'm going to roll with the Niners, even though I'm a little reluctant to. I mean, I hate that I have to pick them every week, because sometimes I want to pick other teams. Like last week, I kind of wanted to pick the Chiefs. I'm not going to pick against my team. I just don't feel if I'm just going to go down with the ship. That's how I feel. The team, I'm just going to pick with them. All my picks, all 16 picks except for one, are really off of, maybe two are off of emotions. But I'm going to roll with the Niners here. I think that they are able to get a big bounce back victory. I think we'll have to see how Christian McCaffrey does. We'll have to see how some of these players respond after another week of treatment, and we'll have to see who plays. So I know there's a few key factors there, but the Rams also coming off of a bye week. I'm interested to see kind of how they respond as well, because this is a big matchup. So I think the Niners, obviously they're going to be the home team, even though they're on the road at Levi South. I'm going to pick them 28-24.
Yeah, I know Jimmy looked bad last week, but I mean, this is just something that always happens, and I have to roll with it, especially during the regular season. So it's very simple for me. San Francisco 49ers here, handle business. I love it. At Levi South, just domination. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, they'll do it as far as Jimmy takes them. But I'm going, man, so close. I'm going 30. I got a crooked score here. I'm going 30-24. I think it's a very close game. I do think that the Niners pull it out by that 2 field goal margin. I do think they get 2 field goals late in that game to seal it. But I got the San Francisco 49ers advancing to 3-0 against the Los Angeles Rams this season, further dominating the Rams. And let's hope that in the playoffs next time, it's the other way around, right? Moving on to our final afternoon game. We got the New York Giants, the G-Men, traveling all the way across the country to Washington, to Seattle, to take on the Seattle Seahawks. What do you got for me?
Yeah, this was one of the toughest ones for the week for me. Definitely Seattle surprised me a little bit last week, but I still am on the fence. I do think the Chargers are one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL, and they have been for the last several years.
Agreed.
But, Seattle definitely came out and handled their business. So I'm going to pick the Giants here. But if Seattle does win this game, then they're kind of on my radar. I'm kind of like starting to maybe pick them a little bit. Never thought I'd say that, but surprisingly enough, it looks like they're starting to come around. So we're going to see, though, because we're going to take it week by week. You're only as good as, your next matchup or, the game that you played. Yep. So right now they're looking good, decent, but I am going to pick the Giants. I think the Giants have kind of been on a roll. It's going to be tough for them to go into Seattle and win after Seattle came off with such a big victory last week on the road, but I think the Giants are more than capable. I'm going to pick them in a close one, 31-28.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Giants win this game, they are a bona fide contender for the year. If they can travel across the country and beat this team, now obviously it's the Seahawks, right? So they're no gangbusters or anything like that. But traveling across the country, playing a team who just had an electric victory last week on the road, at home, playing well. The Seahawks aren't playing terribly bad. They're playing pretty well in these games. I think this is a huge statement win for the Giants, needed for them to basically put a stamp on this season to say, hey, we may have not have played, the toughest of competition, but we can get the job done no matter what coast we are on, no matter where we're at, on the road, at home, what have you, right? So I'm going New York Giants, the G-men making a statement on the road. Very low scoring game, though. A very low scoring game. I don't see a lot of points. I don't foresee a lot of points being scored. I'm going 23-20. I know the Seattle Seahawks are an electrifying offense. I know they have that ability. I know the Giants have that ability. But again, I do think a lot of defenses do come into factor during this week. So I'm going to go to the G-men. And I think the G-men make a statement on the road. Good for the New York Giants, man. Our night game, our primetime Sunday night game. We got the Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads, traveling to upstate New York, not for the wings, but to play the Buffalo Bills. What do you got for me?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Green Bay. I mean, obviously they're tough loss last week, and they're not going to catch any breaks here. They got to go to Buffalo, which is a very tough environment to get a win. That crowd is they're electric, and the Bills always play pretty well at home. So the Bills have a pretty stout defense, and obviously, one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. And I am going to go ahead and take Buffalo in this one. I think that they win this one 35-24.
Oh, I like it. Okay, somewhat close game. I like it. I don't foresee that. I don't foresee it being a close game. I got the Bills going in there 42-17. I think the Buffalo Bills blow the doors off of the Green Bay Packers at home. I think they further show why they are basically the team to beat at this point. Obviously, I understand that, the Bengals technically are the AFC champions, so they are technically the team to beat. I understand the Chiefs are the Chiefs, technically the team to beat. So I understand that there are teams to beat in the AFC, but right now the Buffalo Bills, man, they look awesome. They look very good. So I'm not gonna slow down on them. I know it's Aaron Rodgers, yes, but again, like I said in the review episode, those weapons are gonna take time to just figure out, grow chemistry. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight. It's not a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. It's not a Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa thing, right? It's just not that. It's just not. So. Buffalo Bills, 42-17. I think they absolutely dismantle the Green Bay Packers at home, further stamping their march to the Super Bowl. And lastly, our Monday night primetime game. Hopefully, finally, we got a good one. I do believe we have a good one because it is my guy. We got Joey B traveling, not that far, in-state to Cleveland. What's in Cleveland? Nothing's in Cleveland, man. Joey B traveling to Cleveland. Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Monday Night Football. What do you got for me to end off our week?
Yeah, I think that, obviously the the Bengals have been on a roll. They're looking really good. So good for them. I think that, we kind of discussed it. They looked a little shaky in the beginning, a little rocky, maybe a Super Bowl hangover there was there.
Could be.
Just kind of, just trying to dig themselves out of that hole, and it looks like they have. They've emerged as the top team in the one of the top contenders in the AFC, obviously top team in the AFC North. So give them credit. Obviously it's a divisional matchup, so I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I am going to take I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I think that obviously Cleveland's kind of been struggling. I don't know if they're going to be able to put up the kind of points needed. I like Cincinnati's offense more recently. So I'm going to take them 35-21.
Yeah, this is a big game here because we can't go. You can't go 500 and be 0-3 in the division. So you can't put that. You just can't do that. So this is a huge game in terms of like getting at least one victory down in the division, and then focusing on the last 3 times you have to play these teams. But man, this is going to be it right here. So the Bengals have some winnable games coming up the next 3 or 4 weeks. They have to take advantage of these teams, and they have to win. These are very winnable games. The Cleveland Browns, tough opponent, right? Very tough opponent. Sweeping the Bengals last season, the only team in the division to do that, right? They swept the Steelers, swept the Ravens. Then the Browns came out of nowhere and swept them. So, this is going to be a very interesting game. I know Joey and the Bengals are going to want to get off to a hot start and take over this game and just have a dominant victory. Whether or not the Browns will allow that, well, it's very interesting to see. I'm very interested to see how this line handles Myles Garrett and these other defenders that they have. So I think the Bengals, obviously I'm going to rock with them. I'm going Bengals handling business on the road. I think it is another big game. I do think it's 35-20. I'm going to follow up with what the Browns scored last week. I do think it's kind of one of those games again. I do think the Bengals come out and it's a big game. However, they have been known to drop these games. So this is a very big game in my eyes in terms of just the Bengals season and how kind of things are going to shake out. Now, obviously they can do what they can. Big game, but I'm rocking with Joey and the boys, and I think they handle business on the road. And that is going to do it for this week's edition of Meat on the 50. And again, right, we are glad to be back. We are back, and we are here to give you all of our predictions, all of our expectations, our breakdowns, all that good stuff. And Brandon and I, of course, as always, want to thank you. Whether you're a new viewer, old viewer, what have you, we want to thank you for taking the time for watching our videos, listen to our podcast, just investing your time, rocking with us all season long. We truly appreciate it. And if you're new, we hope we have done something to keep you coming back for more. Brandon, any last words for the people?
Oh, just ready for a new week. Like I said, hopefully, both of our teams can get big victories, and obviously, with our divisional opponents. It's important to handle business in the division first. And then, we'll go from there. Hopefully, both teams can get a win, and then, we can focus on next week.
Yeah, I completely agree, right? This week is going to be very exciting. A lot of big matchups this week heading into the second half of the season. Remember, our mid-season grade episode will be coming to you next week as well. So we will break down all of the mid-season grades and how we think the teams have performed. I'm very curious to see Brandon's thoughts on this because this has been a very interesting season so far. He kind of hit the nail on the head with the NFC being wide open, AFC kind of being wide open at this point, I guess. So very curious to see how you think the first half of the season has gone. Very curious to see how the first half of the season ends with this week. So we're here for it. We are ready and we are excited. And remember, you can follow along all season long on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We're right there. Make it easy for you. Make it nice and convenient for you. So do us a favor. Check that out there. And also, if at any point during the video, if at any point during the podcast, you like what you hear, you like what you see, do us a favor. Just smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new videos drop, you're right there to consume the content because we're going to be dropping videos and knowledge all season long. That's going to do it for this edition of Meat on the 50. You know who he is. That's one of my best friends, Brandon Sullivan. I am your host or co-host, Jacob Cutler. And until next week, Brandon and Jake are out.